Hey, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I'm back. It is Sunday, January 21st. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm just going to get the list going. Thank you for your patience and my tardiness. Seems to kind of be the par for the course, right? I hope everybody's doing well. Yesterday was the great day where Pluto entered Aquarius, but remember, it's going to turn around, smack you in the tush back in September to November again. So if you are I think it's cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cap, and Cancer, which I am a Cancer sun and an Aries rising. Congratulations, because the crappy time is almost over. I'm going to tell you what, since 2008, it's been an interesting journey. Hi, Amy. Hi, Allie. Okay, so let me put up the payment and then the list. Oh, I forgot to do where I take the little hearty thing off because that just annoys the crap out of me. Because then it creates issues with Hi, Regine. I hope everybody is well. We had a snow day on Friday with zero snow. It was we were supposed to get 1 to 3 inches, and I'm over a 12-hour period. So there's no reason they should have canceled in the first place. I just think they're so freaked out because a few years ago, before COVID, we got a snow squall one day, which dropped 5 inches in a really short amount of time. So obviously that's going to wreak havoc. Oh, you're having storms in Ireland? Amy, I didn't realize that's where you were. Anyway. I'm putting in the link now. Let me make sure it works. And then, yep, that's it. That's the link. So I'll pin that. And then I'm going to get the list going. So how is everybody? What's going on? Actually, don't tell me. You had 2 snowstorms? Oh, really? We had a couple of inches and some ice. And then on Tuesday. And so we had a late start Tuesday, a late start Wednesday. And is that right? Yeah, it was then, because Monday I was just trying to think. My husband was out of town for his friend had passed away. So we I came, I left, did the drop off. And when I was at the grocery store, it was raining and my car was icing over. So I came home and I shoveled the driveway, and then I salted it really well because I was I am not having anybody follow my driveway. Okay, June, I'll look for it. Hi, Julia. Wild and windy Scotland. Yeah, it's been cold. So here's the thing, I was talking to a friend of mine who I did reading for, and she's out in California, and she's originally from Illinois. And I went to college. I went to high school and college in Wisconsin, and where I went to college in Wisconsin is near-ish Minneapolis, St. Paul. So it's northern Wisconsin, and we got lots of snow and lots of cold. So New Jersey weather, this weather to me is it's super manageable. So cold, yeah, it's in the 20s and teens here and stuff, but it's not I have a really nice warm coat, and you dress for it. That doesn't bother me. I don't, but it's not Wisconsin weather. And listen, I will take that any day. I don't know why I'm looking at my iPad. I need to look at my phone and see who's paid and all of that. But it's definitely winter. My daughter, one day of cold, she was like, I'm ready for spring. And I was like, you were literally just saying how much I don't know. It's just funny to me. Fred L, I have your payment. Allie, I have your payment. So I've got, let's see. Let's do the list quick. Allie, Fred L, Devry, and Regine. Amy. and Dune. Okay, let me make sure I got it ready. I sent you a PayPal a few minutes ago. Got it. Yeah, it's been cold, but I guess the one thing I like about when it's cold is because then I only have to have a winter coat and then I don't have to carry a purse. Because like I hate carrying purses with a winter coat because it gets like caught up and it gets caught in my hood and it's annoying. So is this better? Let's see. These are not my favorite reading glasses, but they'll do. It is crooked. My ears are actually crooked. Oh, I got one from Julia. Okay, perfect. So I'll add you to the list. Stop that banana head stuff here. Stop it. Stop it. Hang on. I did a live reading on TikTok the other day, and I was like going back through and trying to edit it. Like there's CapCut, and CapCut is the worst. There's so much lagging. It's like, if any of you ever, fair warning, it's awful. But that's that. Thank you. I have to wear glasses. I have contacts. I actually need to get a different set. I'm okay actually with reading when I don't have my contacts in, but when I have my contacts in, I really can't really see much for reading. I like TikTok. I have to tell you, like, because it's not as like Instagram. I feel like I'm not curated enough. Like that's not my personality to be curated. So TikTok works better because I was literally changing my bunny litter and was like, oh, I should post a video. Like I'm trying to step into this energy of like posting more and doing stuff more. And I've got ideas for here too. So I'm not going to jinx it yet. I'm going to start putting some of the work in first and then I'll announce it. Okay. So let's get started. Allie, what's your question? I mean, I'm a little bit stuck in the 200 views. So if any of you want to come and support me over there, I'd love it. Will you meet your future partner soon? I don't know why I saw February 28th. I don't know that. I don't know. I don't want to say like that's not possible. But there's this feeling was like it's not far off. So here's what I'm gonna say. You need to start standing in and affirming, like, of course, like of course I'm lovable. Of course, like this is happening. Like, it's just that there's this doubt. So I just did a video where I talked about like, you know, like when you put your handle, like someone came on here a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you were here for it, Allie, and they were like, when I'm going to meet my future partner. And their handle was literally solitude. Like, are you sure you want to be in a relationship? And I've been doing a lot of like, if you really look at stuff, if you really look at stuff, listen, I can be wrong and you know I can be wrong, but for some reason I heard that. So I'm saying it because God only knows, right? If you really want to manifest something, what was I saying? You have to step into that energy. So like, look back at things and think, well, how could I have manifested this situation? Especially if it's a bad situation where you're like, ooh, like I manifested relationships that were not great and it came from a place of when I wrote down the list of the things I wanted. And I used to joke around because I felt like I was too emotional and I saw that, or too sensitive. And I saw that as a detriment. I saw that as being something that was like an Achilles heel because I had been told so often, like, you're too sensitive, because I genuinely gave a shit if I fucked up. I would have tears, like I would cry. And I genuinely never wanted to hurt somebody. So I would and it wasn't like feel sorry for me. It was like, I genuinely like gave a shit. So I would put this like, I who's not emotional. I need somebody who is, well, guess what you manifest when you think that that's a bad thing and you think that this is what you need. I manifested exactly what I wanted. And so, okay, dude, I'll check. So what I am saying to you is get real motherfucking clear about what you want and look at why you want it. And are you wanting it because it's the opposite of what you are and you think you need that for balance? Because that's not it. Because it's not it. Because wanting somebody who's not emotional means you end up with somebody who's emotionally unavailable. And because you think that that's a bad thing. So look at your traits, and look at what do I not like about myself? Why do I not like that about myself? And where could I get, how could I heal that within me? So I look at a lot of the things I've manifested in life and and it's not that I'm like, oh, I want this terrible behavior or I want this dysfunction in my life. It's that I came from a place of manifesting it from a place of not fully loving myself. And fully loving yourself does not mean you think you're perfect, but fully loving yourself means that you accept yourself in your imperfections. I don't cry as easily when I mess up as I did before. Part of that is maturity and learning to accept and love myself and go oh, it's okay. You're not an awful person if you fuck up. And I'm swearing a lot. So if anybody's reporting me, but you just, I don't know. It's so incredibly important to learn to just really have compassion for yourself and give yourself grace for not being perfect and not thinking that there's something wrong with you because somebody else said that there was something wrong with you. Okay. So I don't know why it's that quick. Maybe it's, and here's the thing. Oh, I want to say this too. It might not be that we run into each other and it's like Hollywood and we fall in love. It may be that maybe you just meet them and then there's some way where you're not fully brought together right away, but there is a little meetup, right? So just keep that in mind. But that's what I heard, so I'm sticking with it. And also, as you're writing your list, really write from a place of empowerment. I noticed that I'm stressing about people not being okay with me, but I've learned that there are people who are, and I can relax. Yeah. And look, I spent so much time before I came into doing into this space. And even for a long time while I was doing this work where I was like, oh my God, what are the people from my past going to think of me? They're probably like, oh, she's cringe or whatever. What does she want to be? It's how are they contributing to your life, Allie? They're probably not. Are they paying your bills? Are they lifting you up? And then so I'm in this thing where it's this woman, she's a business coach, basically. I'm for how to show up in front of people. And I'm paying for her services because there's always a place where someone can see something when you can't sometimes. And she has this great worship because people will always say well, who's your audience? I'm I don't know who my audience was. And it's my audience is people who are spiritually open, people who are wanting to be empowered, people who are wanting to step into really connecting with themselves and believing in manifesting, and then also all this other stuff. And I didn't know that because I was I don't know, they're women, or are they not women? Or they I didn't know how to generalize it. But there was something she asked. It was who shows up for you in these spaces? In these spaces, it's I have several people that show up for me in all ways and that I can go to and be hey, this is my really exciting spot. I can't wait to tell you about this. Or oh my God, this was really embarrassing. And I know that they will love and accept me just as I am, or they'll call me on my crap if I need it. So the people who are judging you, they're not your people. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. They're just not your people. And most people, when they're really outright judging, instead of moving through something with compassion, it's because they haven't really looked at their own crap. And they're probably also not taking accountability for their own misfortune. So whatever. Okay. Fred L. I appreciate you too, Allie, because like I know, listen, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. I don't like that. I know that like I'm a tough cookie sometimes. Like I don't tell you guys what you want all the time. And I get it. And so that sometimes I give you guys a beating and you still come back for more. So I appreciate you for not giving up on me. Okay, hang on. I got your other payment. So I'll pop that in. Okay, I wanted to know if my guides have any guidance for me. Been stressful lately and it seems to be building. Okay. I really feel like, so I'm just trying to check in with your energy. I feel like you really carry your tension here in your jaw and also like in your, like, I feel like almost like in my third eye area. So I was just said to him, I was like, well, tell me about your real name because I know it is through the payment. Because calling you Fred just doesn't feel right. And I just feel like I just keep seeing like this, like they said like dog piling. Like, I don't know if you know that term, but where it's like just everything keeps piling on and piling on and piling on. So it's not that it's like one thing, it just feels like everything. Like feeling like all of the responsibilities are just falling on you all at once. And they're sort of saying like, remember that like when you're climbing a mountain or you're clearing debris from like an earthquake and the building has fallen, they don't take it all off at once and get it done in a day. It's literally like just picking a place to start and not feeling like you're a failure if you don't get it all done at once or that there's something wrong with you. They said, truth be told, you are actually really good at what you do. And because you are efficient and you are very logical, like you're really good at seeing how things kind of fit together, how they put together. I'm saying spatial awareness, but it doesn't feel like the right, but it's like if I was given a set of blocks or things, like it's like how they would fit best together to be most organized and compact. It's like you have a really good vision for things. And they're saying, so people tend to, because you're like that, because you're very logical and you're very grounded and well-oriented to things, it's like you get more things put on you. And it feels unfair. But a lot of the pressure is coming from within the house, so to speak, like from you. I don't know if that resonates at all. So I'm sharing the compliments that they have for you. So it feels like it's like, so the lesson for you to learn now is not that you can't handle stress, not that you're going to fall apart. It's more so that you need to learn in these moments to step back and go, I'm a human. And it's okay for me to be like, I can't do all this right today. So I'm going to tackle this first, and then I'm going to tackle this, and then I'm going to tackle that. And learning actually even to tell people like, oh, I see that you need this at this time. However, I've got all of this, and I'm sure you understand that's a lot. And I want to be honest with you. And like, it's like, it feels like it's like, if you answer or if you respond to like those kind of pressures in a way that sort of respects the other person and like their intelligence and their understanding, it's not manipulation. It's just delivering it in a prettier package. it it helps alleviate the pressure. Though I do feel some of this stuff is like out of your control. I don't know what this is. So it might be more of like a regional type, just different to what we have, but maybe it's like a window unit of the air conditioner or something. Cause there's something where I feel like it's an older unit, but there's somehow water connected to it, but I don't understand it. I do not understand what this is because I'm not familiar with it and I'm sorry. But it feels like it breaks and it's like, ugh, another thing. And so it's like, well, obviously you take care of that first. And that's kind of out of your control, but it's not because you're being punished. But like with the things that you can sort of go, I can do this, then, because I feel like you want to delegate, but they specifically want you to do the work because they trust you. And I don't understand what all that is. So they do want you specifically. Yeah. And listen, that's a huge compliment. And so part of that is like, then when you are really needed, wanted, or in demand, which fabulous, right? Um, you learn to just say, okay, I can do this, and here's when I can do it by, and not feeling guilty or that you're somehow not doing all. Hi, Rathka. Okay, I'll check. I felt my watch buzz. So, okay. May I leave you with that? I hope that's satisfactory to like help you. Um, Devry, I saw your question. You're going to laugh because online. So Devry asks, like, she's, like, she's been having a hard time. And she's like, when is stuff going to get better? Devry, what is your sun sign or your rising sign? Rising sign might be more important for this. Do you know what it is? Are you here? Are you here, Devry? I didn't see if you said hello at all earlier. Let me see. If Devry's not here yet. Nope, you're here. Nope, no, that's my typing. Ding dong. If somebody else wants to go, Regine, if you want to go ahead and go ask your questions. Because I'm not sure if Devry's here yet, and we'll just leave her in the queue. Thank you for talking about closing the ortho office permanently. Wait, hang on. Oh, they're talking about closing the ortho office permanently. What do I see, please? So I don't. Okay, this is what I'm getting. So then I'm going to ask you for verification on it. So I'm getting it. It's a feeling of like there's more than one doctor, and it's like they're closing that, but then you'll move with one of them and work for them still. I don't feel like you're going to be out of a job. Also, lady, in the next 3 years, you're going to be working on your own. Just so you know. Like, I know it's not right now, so it feels a little, but talk is talk. You're not going to be without a job. I feel like one of them wants out, and then one, like, they're just going to like go separate ways. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I will probably be reapplying several times here because it is dry as if in my basement. I have dehumidifiers because it was too much moisture. Okay. So it makes sense. Yeah. So I feel like you'll still move with somebody else. Like, I don't feel like you're out of a job. Okie doke. A new building. Yep. That's what I felt. New building. but it's not far from where you're at. And upstairs, so if there's like 2 floors, I feel like you're on the 2nd floor. Okay. All right. What's your second question? I was wishing I had some lotion in here. It's parched. A general reading, please. Okay. So the first thing I heard was that, you know that song, Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. I don't know why. um, I'm going to tell you what they said. I don't know if it's true or not. It's like, it's a feeling of like you haven't been in church for a while and you're missing a lot of good gossip. It's a feeling of like, so they're kind of saying like you've been kind of keeping to yourself more and sort of like sorting things out on your own. And it's okay that you've been finding space within yourself to like go within and just find peace. I feel like you've been asking like, when is change coming or when is this thing happening? And it feels more around like you're manifesting it feels around generational wealth, like this idea of like creating a legacy, and they're saying it's happening now. So you may be in the very early stages. You may just, it's like, but it's happening now. So just enjoy the journey. And it's also like recognize that and own that. Like, even if you can't see the full outcome yet, it's not about the full outcome. It's about the journey. Have you been skipping out on church? Hi, Devry. I called you, but I was like, oh, I guess she's not here yet. So you can go after I'm done with this question with Regine if you want. So, no church lately. They're telling on you. They didn't say you have to go. I think it was just a way of validating the other information that I'm getting, but in a little cheeky way. I mean, unless you want to get updated on gossip, and then I say go. Usually, I mean, it feels a little scandalous, you know. You're very welcome. All right, Miss Devry, are you ready? I read your question in the PayPal, and her question was along the lines of, just so like if anybody watches this back or watches this and they're not like whatever for context. I like context. Just like, when are things going to start getting better? Because she's struggling, and then she's like, it's testing her faith and all of that, but she keeps trying to like, crack at it. I literally read it and I heard Thursday and I was like, what? Do you have something Thursday, like an interview, or is there something planned for Thursday, Devry? So this may be something then that you hear about. I don't know what Thursday signifies. Also, I was asking is, what is your rising sign or your sun sign? Do you know your sun sign or rising sign? But I feel like rising is probably more important. And you don't. Okay, I want you to do this. I want you to go like astro.com, and you're going to put in, do you know your birth time? And I would do it here, but I also, then it feels like I have to give away all of your personal information like online, and I feel like that's not so smart. So, okay, so go to astro.com and put in like you're going to put in your birth date, your birth time, and the city you were born in. And it'll come up with your chart, your natal chart. And then you're going to look at what's the ascended sign, ASC, it should say. And then also, your sun sign, I'm sure. But look at that. If it is Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, or Libra, those are cardinal signs, I believe. I don't know enough. Apparently, like and I say we because I have been in this, have had this like when Pluto was in Capricorn, like a pretty rough go of it, especially in regards to relationships and finance. And so like the big thing that you'll hear on a lot of the things is like, oh, we just had this really big, like Pluto moved into Aquarius. And so things are better now. This like your karmic lessons of this area are over, except for that it goes back into Capricorn. It retrogrades again from like September 11th through November 19th, I believe. And then it's firmly in Aquarius, which it takes a little bit to feel that energy, right? To like get through the door. So there'll be like a little last kick in the tush at the end of the year. But I really do feel like there's something for that. So I would not be surprised if you have like something in one of those signs that's like part of this like struggle. But it feels like, so I felt Thursday is important and I don't understand why. So maybe you're going to get a call for an interview or something like that. And then I feel like February is important too, about just like kind of like feeling like the weight's starting to lift. You are another person. I want you to go back and listen to what I was talking to Adley about. Now, in her case, I was talking about relationships, but you can apply manifesting and the belief systems and stuff to every area. So when somebody's like, it's an SP, it's like, you can just imagine your SP is money or whatever. It's like, it's this idea that like, if you go back and look at things that have manifested that you don't want, right? And I use the example of relationships, like me putting in like this or better. And I made a list and it was like, I don't want somebody who's super emotional because I felt like my being emotional or being ultra sensitive, because I am really sensitive to people's feelings and stuff like that, that was a like a not great quality to have. So I wanted somebody who was like, I couldn't handle that if they were super emotional too. Rather than looking at it as like looking for somebody who's emotionally stable, I was like, when, unemotional, then you guess what you manifest? You manifest somebody who's not emotionally available. And that's not great either. And also I started like really learning to just love myself and all of my attributes, whether somebody else outside of me saw them as beneficial or not, because there's no point in shaming yourself and hating yourself forever. And that's not like I hated myself, but you know what I mean? So go back and listen to that, because I feel like that's going to be really helpful for you. August feels important too. So it feels like another shift in August. And this all feels really good. It doesn't feel like the worst thing ever. What is your sun sign? I'm trying to understand what you mean, because I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be negative. I can't help that. No, nobody wants to. And here's the other thing. I don't think that you should just be positive all the time. I don't think that that's healthy. I think that when we feel bad and when we feel negative, we can take pause in it and look at it like, why do I feel this way? What's going on? And what might my deeper feelings about that be that might be creating that? You can't figure out what you want to manifest unless something doesn't. I feel like if it doesn't feel good, that's sort of how you understand like what direction to go. And also if you constantly are like, oh, don't feel that, it's like, it's still there. It's still festering under the level. It's like, just acknowledge it. Like, I don't like the way that feels. What might I do to do the opposite of it? Okay. So like, when people are manifesting money, right? It's this idea of like, well, I don't like being poor. Okay. So like somebody's like, oh, I just want to win the lottery. Well, what do you really want? Because what you really want is security and stability and to feel like at ease. So then where do you start with that? Looking at it as like and I am, and looking at it as from a state of gratitude, so it would be like, I am stable, I am safe, I'm secure, the universe supports me, things like that. And that's what I mean. I know why I'm sad and upset. I just don't know what to do. Yeah. So I know this is going to sound weird. I mean, I always say this to you is like working on the self-concept and listening to self-concept things, but it's like even really digging deeper and even finding there's one life, there's a I'm sorry, a manifestation coach. They'll do lives and they'll answer free questions. So like if you're looking for it, like to get manifesting coaching without paying for it. Um, but it really does like go back to that stuff. And so like I've done a lot of self-concept work and I feel like it's made a huge difference. Um, but I've also like had a lot of like all the time I'm getting awarenesses of like, oh, that's how I created that. Like I didn't want X, Y, and Z to happen, but it did. Well, of course I didn't want that. Like that's not what I meant when I wrote that down, or that's not. And it's like, oh, but that's like when you don't have the self-concept there to fully embrace and engage, then you're going to get things in a weird way, or you're going to manifest things unknowingly. So I just feel like there's something about Thursday that's important. I don't know what that is because I was reading your thing and I heard Thursday. Then I also feel like February is a timing for money to get better. Um, like I know some of this is all around of like wanting a relationship and wanting to feel steady in your income, but it feels like the relationship the comes when you've really gone inner. And I hate to say this is like kind of to everybody, but it's like it's kind of slim pickings right now because we're going through major shifts culturally. We're going through major shifts. Um, Patriarchy is kind of like dying. Hi, Heather. Okay, great. Um, so it's like there's lots of upheaval. Okay. Oh, your name is different. Heather. Okay. If this helps, it says Sun and Cancer. Yes. What's your rising? Yes, 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 girl. It literally occurred to me when I was reading your question like earlier. I was in my bathroom and I was like, so I got Thursday is important. I get February is important and August is important for this. But that like, oh, she's got this stuff. I'll add you to the list in just a second, Heather. There's a few people ahead of you. Give me a second. I'll update the list so then you can see where it's at. Did Regine on Devry, and then you'll be after Rothka. Okay. What's your rising sign? Your rising sign is, I forgot to like, so when you go through and you set up the live, you can click to turn off the stupid little heart button thing. And I don't like it on here because it makes it really hard to see. Let me pop the chat box out and see if that helps. Yeah, a little bit. It says, oh wait, so your Cancer rising and your Cancer sun and a rising? Yes. So basically it's going to get better from here. It's going to get better from here. Two people that are really fabulous to follow as far as astrology is my friend Victoria. She's more active on Instagram. She does have a TikTok, but she's much more active on Instagram. She's really great to follow. And on TikTok is Astro Lori. She's really great, but she doesn't do like the love stuff, but she does talk about, and they're also just like more grounded. They're both like have a lot of wisdom and knowledge in Astro. Like, so they talk about like, it's not just this, it's that, but really and truly, Things are going to get better, I promise. So it's been a tough go for us the last 15 years. No joke. I know that rising is really important in this area. So like if you've had a cardinal rising, that's like where it's how you're stepping into the world. But like, listen, I'm ready. 2024 is my year. I don't know if that's the case, but like I'm ready for things to be a little smoother sailing. I had a dream a long time ago and it occurred to me. So I'll tell the dream and then I'll promise I'll go back to answering questions. So, because I know several of you are like 5 or 6 hours ahead of me, so I don't want to keep you too long. So like probably around 2020 or so, I had this dream, maybe early 2021. I had this dream. I had it like it was a recurring for a couple times and then it kind of got to the fruition of it, but like where there was like a little thing that flew in and it looked almost like thank you, Julia. It almost looked like a hummingbird. And I was in a house and there was a fireplace. No fireplace here. And but it morphed into like this little tiny dragon. And like all these people were kind of crowding around. So I put like a red rope around it to protect it. And my husband was there, but he was just like standing there, almost like an NPC. And then like that came back again. I had like left the room and then whatever. So I put this red rope around it. And then the dream progresses. And then at a point, like I'm in another part of the room by a Christmas tree. Again, husband's just standing there like an NPC. And somebody in a hood comes up and like, because I protected the dragon, I don't even understand what that means. They were giving me a gift and they like did something where like, I don't even know what they did, but it was like some kind of like magic thing. And they like pulled something from my chest. And I was like, okay. And then I like walked out the door and it was like this like kind of ethereal world where it was like dark, but all I could see was like all of these little dragons, tiny dragons, like flying around and see their colors. And then I saw myself as if I was in a video game. And like, you know, when you get like the magical powers in the video game, you just like move through it. I was like, oh, it's like I have like I'm untouchable kind of thing. So I love how you're all saying like hello, and I hope this isn't boring you to death. Anyway, so back in April of 2022, there was a creator on TikTok. Her name's Alyssa. I think it's like Alyssa Ether or whatever. She does Reiki, and she was doing like a Reiki thing through there, and I felt this like I got like an image of a hooded woman in my mind's eye, and I felt this thing pulled from my chest in real life, and I was like, oh my god! So I was like messaging her. I was like, you're not gonna believe this, da 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 da, and then I realized 2 days ago, exactly, Allie, that it's the year of the dragon. And I'm like, I wonder if this is it. Because that thing happened and there was like a little, so I'm like wondering, because, you know, time is different on the other side. And I'm like, I'm wondering if this is it. Like I step into the year of the dragon because I saw dragons around like in different ways where I was like, okay, this is interesting. I see this, I see that. Okay. So I'm wondering if this is like, this is my year. Anyway, I wanted to share that. Because I was excited about it that I like figured out. I was like, okay, I guess because also I'll come back at the end of the Chinese, like so next year's Chinese New Year, and I will tell you, or maybe you'll know. Hi, Lily, welcome. Anyway, that's my spiel. Okay, so that's my story. I don't know why I keep going to this, like it's gonna help me with anything. So Debbie, what I'm telling you is I just feel like this is like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I'm standing on that. And I don't know what it is about Thursday. There's also something about February and August being important. So if you can hang in there. It's a wood dragon year too. So apparently that's good for like building up financial stuff and things like that, because it's like a, you know, an earthy, wood is earthy. Okay. Amy, what is your question? And Heather, I'll probably have you retype it because so the way my app is, my PayPal app, the business one, which is the one you pay to, it's like weird because I can't always see all of what somebody wrote. Maybe, wait, I saw Devries. I wonder if it's because I looked at it in the email that I got. I wonder if that works better. Let me see. There's Julia's. There we go. Okay. And you were asking about your marriage. Okay. So let's see. Amy, what's your question? And thank you everybody for letting me entertain myself telling you my story. How does Grace feel about me? You said in this chat earlier to us, give yourself grace for not being perfect. Ah, you're welcome, Devry. I'm sending you big hugs because I'm telling you, I know what it's like to be like, when, oh God, when. And I won't sit here as like, I know some people will be like, oh, like I'm a perfect manifestor. Like, we're all learning here, man. We are all on a journey. Okay. Has Grace. So the first thing I heard was she adores you. And there is something that slightly intimidates her about you, but not like in a bad way, but more like I could get carried away with this kind of way, or like I have to stop. I like this. So this is more about her when I say this. Like she can be and knows she will be very vulnerable with you, and that's a bit overwhelming. It scares her a little bit because I feel like she lives a much more guarded life and a protected life by virtue of the things that she's grown up with and the experiences she's had. I do feel like I have to say, I feel like she has a history of SA or something like that. And it kept her like really guarding her heart chakra for a long time. I don't know if you can validate any of that. So when you approach a relationship with her, it feels like, I don't know if you've ever had a bunny, but bunnies are prey animal. And so if you come from having definitely PTSD, okay. So bunnies, like if you come from having being a cat owner or a dog owner, they are predators. Yeah, even dachshunds. And like you can like go up to them and you can, because they have defenses, right? They can bite, they can bark, they can scratch, they can attack, and bunnies literally have no defense. So when you get a bunny as a pet, you literally have to like, they teach you to like to start to bonding, like you lay on the ground. So when we brought my bunny home, like we all just spent like hours lying on the ground, like letting her kind of come to us and letting her and not taking it personal. And like when she, like it's taught me a ton, just even about people in general, of not taking it personal if they weren't ready for it. Like if they're not ready for all of this, right? So when she had SA sexual assault. So when, sorry, I didn't see that before. When someone has trauma like that and they've closed their heart chakra for a long time, it can feel very scary. And so it doesn't mean that you need to just like tolerate every terrible behavior, but it does mean that when you approach somebody who has this type of history, you do it like when you have a bunny, right? So you just kind of not take it personal if they kind of like show up and then kind of retreat and show up and retreat. You just know that when you stand there and you offer your presence, that they'll come around, but you have to be a steady presence. And you're capable of doing that, and you can do that. You just have to remember to like that it's not about you. You're not doing anything wrong. You just stand there and be a steady presence, and they'll, once they see that it's safe to keep doing that. So maybe also remember that about yourself when you're approaching relationships with, when you said you have a complex trauma diagnosis, like but that's because of her own stuff. So don't worry about it. There's nothing wrong with you. Have patience for yourself too, and grace for yourself about all of that. Like, it's a dance. I don't think she's running because of that. I think it triggers her own stuff. It's that if I have all of this and I'm so much like, it's more of it's not a running away because you're too much. It's like sort of reflective of what she's been through and going through. You can manifest differently where it's like, I'm lovable, I'm loved, people love me, Grace loves me, she's feels safe and comfortable with me, and you sort of have to like change the energy that way. Because the way they're telling me is like it'll be a challenge for you no matter what. So if you carry like, this is too much, this is really heavy type energy subconsciously for other people to handle, then that's sort of like the way people show up, where they find that out and they're like, oh, that's too much. That's so. And the other thing is like when you embrace and adopt, like when you've come from a background of like, other people don't show me that I'm lovable or show up that way. And so if I say I love myself and I have all of these faults, then like people, what are people going to say and think about it? And the truth is like, own that you love yourself. It's okay to say you love yourself. And whatever anybody else thinks about that is their own problem. But my what I'm saying is about she's my yoga teacher, so it's complicated. And the other part of that is like maybe she also doesn't, maybe she has a history of this, like why it came to me, a history of having people kind of dump on her. When people are quote unquote healers, which I really hate that term anyway, when people like, because people said it to me, I'm like, I'm not a healer. I'm a person that like has taken my position of like all the things that I've learned and that let's use it let spirit use this vessel, whatever, to convey a message and share that. But I'm not doing the healing work. I'm a conduit. That's it. You do the work. I'll share my tools with you any day, but I'm not doing the work. And so that, again, that's about her. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be like, oh, she probably has this. So like shift the narrative and it shifts the energy around it. Oh, she probably has a lot of people who kind of dump on her. So maybe that's like, so I'm not worried about it. She'll see I'm stable. It's fine. I'm good. I've dealt with it. I'm okay. I'm lovable. I'm valuable. I'm worthy. I have people that like are so wonderful. They're like, we're friends. And I'm like, they take forever to text me back. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I just don't take it personal. I know that's easier said than done. Most of the behaviors of like, you can create any story you want around something and send that energy and jump into that reality. Like if there is an infinite number of universes, we're constantly jumping. So whenever someone's like, you're going to quantum jump into this, I'm like, you are literally always moving into different realities. If there is an infinite, do you understand what infinite means? Like literally infinite. What if you just start shifting the energy of around the story of it as like, this is, everything's happening in perfect timing. She's not running away. This is just all a part of like the bridge of incidents. Do you know Neville Goddard at all? Neville Goddard is awesome. Although there's some problematic things he says, but it's time, because he was from a different time where racism was a little bit more, but his message is good. Okay, Dune, what are your questions? I had a verbal fight with my boss because he discriminated against me and got him to hang on. Hang on. Let me just see what that, um, and I got him to, I don't understand what I got him to shaked means. I don't know what that means. That might just be a language. Oh, disturbed. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm like, I don't know what that means. um, okay. So I feel like it's going to be fine. I do feel like he tends to hold grudges a little bit more. So it's not that he's going to be petty about it. It's just like he's one of those people that never forgets. And it's more so that Amir was held up and he didn't like what he saw because he never really saw himself as being that before and has never been called out so unapologetically. Lots of leaders are not good leaders. Um, so I'm gonna say this. I don't feel like it harms your job in any way, but I just feel like it's like energetically in the air, like it's there. It's not forgotten. I don't feel like he's gonna bother you. Again, I don't feel like he's petty. I just feel like it's sort of like, oh, that guy kind of feeling in his head. Like he doesn't forget. But it's not about like he's not petty, right? So he's not gonna keep doing little things just to like mess with you because you said that. Or because you called him out on it. That's okay. Somebody hates me, but like, I don't mean to be like, no, I'm not going to tell you he doesn't. But I also think like, look, I worked with a ton of people over time that didn't like me for whatever. I mean, I literally on the last day of working, I worked at this place. I won't name the name, but I worked at it was like basically a children's nursing home, and a lot of managers didn't like me because I called out on like I was like, you can't like that cannot be safe to put the kids like that, or like I was very much an advocate for the kids. And this one manager like grabbed my arm on my last day of the last contract I worked with them, and I worked with them for several contracts. And she was like, Annalise, I don't remember what she said. She said Anna something about this, and I just looked at her, and physically grabbed my arm and squeezed it, and I was like, I'm so glad this is my last day. And I didn't report her. I didn't like it was definitely assault. Um, like people aren't going to always like you where you work. They can hate you. Listen, you are a mirror for him, and you're shining light in places he doesn't want people to see, and he doesn't want to look at himself. But my sense is that it's not that he's going to, again, he's not going to be petty about it. He's not going to retaliate, but I feel like there's just always going to be that kind of energy, that heavy, like, if I can not talk to him, that's great feeling between the two of you. Okay. What's your second question? It's funny. There's this thing that says engage with your audience, start a poll or Q&A. I'm like, we are. Oh, I should have taken Amy off of there. Whoops. Uh, What got your cousin really angry at you yesterday? Because you're setting boundaries with him. Because you're not just going along with the story because it's like so like it's like, oh, I asked you to do something and you didn't just say yes. Like I needed you to help me with something and you didn't just say yes. You were like busy doing something else or it just didn't work out. And so it's sort of that like the audacity you would have where family, because there's a weird family dynamic about like tolerating not great behavior. He told me to again, I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing. I understand that that's like, but it's always funny to me what people say in anger. I don't, probably because I always find it interesting that like where people choose to go and like how they choose to try and like hurt someone. I come from a very dysfunctional family myself. So, uh, told him to say that. Hang on. I think I hear somebody outside the door. I don't know. Earlier. I don't know what the feeling is. It's just a feeling of like he wanted you to do something and you said no and set a boundary. And then like, it was like, how dare he kind of a feeling. That's what I get around is like, you're setting boundaries around it. And, around like, even just like dealing with the family differently and not going along with the same dysfunction anymore. What was what? Boundary. Oh, a boundary. Like, so like my boundary. So I didn't have any boundaries growing up at all. I always just did what other people wanted me to do because I didn't want people to be mad at me or I didn't want other people to have to be uncomfortable. And so I started saying no to things and started saying like, yeah, that's not. And so people would get mad at me for that. Like, how dare I? Or, you can have a boundary is just basically like living life that works for you. And if you're used to being a part of a family where you're just supposed to just acquiesce and like fall all over yourself and do whatever everybody else wants, and even if you're miserable or exhausted, that's just what I felt like was like you set a boundary. You decided not to do something that he wanted you to do and he assumed you would do. And so he's just angry at you. I also feel like he has blood sugar issues, but I don't know if that resonates at all, but that's the feeling I'm getting. And you could always ask him, like, dude, what's up? You think he's bipolar like you? So there might be a story in there that he tells himself, right? I believe you, he was angry. What I'm saying is when I say a story he tells himself, that might be a language barrier we're having, but like yeah, but I mean like he ruminates in his head. There might be that story of like, oh, he didn't want to do that for me and he makes up a story about it. But I also think he has blood sugar issues. Okay. Julia, what's your question? Then Rothka, then Heather. Thank you everybody for your patience. I'm trying to move through them. So you're not waiting too long. Sorry, I'm just pulling my pants down. They're riding up while I was sitting. I need to water this plant here. General family related. Do you want me to look specifically at somebody in your family, one of your kids or parents? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. So maybe they'll push me in an algorithm. Julia, is there a specific family member you want to look at? Just general. Okay. Julia, do you have 3 kids, like 2 girls and a boy? Or just 2 girls? Remember. 3 girls. Okay. So I feel this may be the middle daughter, but I feel like I heard comes running home in August. So I feel like one of your middle daughter, it might be, I don't want to say dropping out of school, but it's a feeling of like coming home with a sense of failure, like they failed something, or they're coming home with their tail between their legs kind of feeling. So I don't know if you have camp or something in the summer or whatever it would be, but in August, it just feels like some kind of emotional thing happens with the 15-year-old. Do they do camp? She's at college 1 day a week and homeschool. Okay. So maybe it's like, maybe she feels like it's too much in August, or it's too overwhelming, or there's something, but it's like, I feel like she'll get back up on her feet. She might take like a little break and then is like back up on her feet. Like maybe she takes like a little semester off. But it feels like just overwhelmed too much. Like over her head. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's what I was saying. In it over her head. That might be what I was saying. And there's something social related to it too. So I don't know if it's like, just applied for beauty therapy for her and she hadn't graded for nurse yet. I don't know what any of that means because it's different. So not like, I'm just like, I'm guessing like beauty school. And I don't. The terminology is different here. So I'm like, I don't know. That's just what I'm feeling. So it's something around school, but there's also some social connection to it too. Meaning like, grades to get on healthcare course. Okay. Sorry. So it's like, it feels like I'm overwhelmed. But there's also something social about it, like feeling like there's something around her feelings on how she's going to be perceived for this. And that's sort of like making her kind of want to run away from it. But I feel like she might take like a semester off and then go back and sort of like kind of regroup. It's just a feeling of being very hard on herself and worried about perception of others when really it's like within her that she's the, like nobody else would think bad of her, but it's like feeling that way. Sure, Joelle, you can pay still. I've just got Rothka and Heather ahead of you. And what's interesting is, Julie, I feel like with this, it's like when it happens, it's So maybe she goes a healthcare course and is like, oh my God, this is too overwhelming or something like that. But it feels like you could even say, like, I got this reading and she said this is gonna happen, you're gonna be fine. Like just reassuring her. It's so interesting to look back, like from 45 to look back at myself when I was in my early 20s and even 30s and be like, oh my gosh, like, I wish somebody would have like just given me the heads up on some of this stuff. And like also just to like not be so incredibly hard on myself and so demanding. Um, I don't know. Whenever I do these, I am always reminded when I need to like dye my eyebrows. FYI, if you wonder what goes through my own mind when I look at myself here. It's like, oh, I need to dye my eyebrows again. You can't really see them. Okay. Sorry. Sidebar, goofball. Rothka, what's your question? So I feel like with family, that's what you're supposed to focus on right now, if you're wondering. I do think the girls might be a bit bitchy though. I mean, patriarchy thrives and pitting us against each other. See regular text message. Okay. Excuse me. Joelle, I got your payment. Okay, so you want to know how best to support your spouse going through their identity changes? Can I put it that way? Is that a fair? Does that feel safe to say it that way? Okay. Um so it's not a phase, but I also do feel like it softens a little bit in like a year or two. Um and also they're telling me that when they start living authentically, that becomes so attractive to you, like that energy of it, that the length of hair doesn't matter. So I don't know if that resonates, but that's what I'm getting is like it's as they start to live more authentically of themselves, their energy just shifts into this like magnetic where it doesn't really like you stop associating the two. Where they become a safe space for you. I mean, not that they're not now, but you know what I mean, where the association with your past and that like kind of steps out. I'm going to say this truthfully. When you look at somebody, there is the initial attraction of like what you like physically and what you don't like, but what keeps you there isn't the physicality, it's the energetic part of it. And so as she's fully able to stand in her energy, like that really freaking, sorry, I should say they are able to fully stand in their like really glowy energy. Like that becomes the thing that like a moth to a flame type thing. And also you're shaming yourself for it. How about honoring those feelings and feeling like, okay, this is natural and there's nothing wrong with me for doing this. And these are real. So maybe I also need to explore that while supporting them through their finding who they are authentically. Because you didn't fall in love with their hair. You don't say anything. You don't say anything. Like, listen, there are things that people are going to do. Like, if you're like in a heteronormative relationship, there are things that your spouse is going to do that you are like, okay, that's a phase. We'll see what happens. And like, you just go with it because that's not why you're with them, really. And keep it to yourself. That's what you should do. Because like this isn't even, I don't even know if this is a psychic, but the minute you start pushing back on it, it makes somebody want to run towards it faster. Well, so like, here's the thing. You can always say, if they have confront you about it, be like, look, it's not my favorite, but here's the thing. If you're happy, that's all that matters. You shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z for my approval. I mean, and that's the truth, because honestly, if you turned around and decided to dye your hair platinum blonde and they were like, oh no, you'd have to be like, wouldn't you just be like, you're not doing that for somebody else's approval when you're really trying to figure out who you are, right? You're doing it for yourself. So you just keep your mouth shut. And you remind them, like if they confront you about it, just say like, it's not my favorite or it's different and I'm not used to it. Like, but you're doing that for you and I love you and I want you to fully embrace who you are. And because that's what's attractive. You're very welcome. Okay, Miss Heather, you're up. You wanted to ask about, are you still here? Thank you for your patience. My friend sent me a text. She's like, I posted all your information that you're live. Like, get yourself some friends that like will support you. Last ones to have around. Okay. So you want to ask Joseph and it's like a continuation of the other day, right? Right. Okay. So okay. But his name is Joey. That's cool. It's fine. I can see him being Joey. Okay. And that's not a bad thing. It's just energetically. Okay. So what I think happens is, again, for you, I feel like, so for anybody who doesn't know, this is a continuation from a reading that I did on TikTok the other day. So that's why I'm kind of like, this is a little bit from the other day. And I'm not jumping straight into that same energy, because what they're showing me really is like, you by the end of this year, it doesn't feel like a divorce. What it feels like is maybe even like into September being like this. I'm done worrying about his needs, what he wants, where he's at, if he's okay, if like all of that, and I'm just going to focus on me. So it's not a full, hi Sherry, hi Blue Moon, welcome, welcome. So it's not going to be like I'm asking for a divorce. It's going to be like, I'm literally just going to focus on me and my stuff. And it feels like then for like a year and a half of really just, you're still married, but like his needs, wants, and desires are not on the forefront of your mind all the time. And you're sort of doing your own glow up. 2026. I don't feel he has a wake up call. I'll be honest with you. I feel like you're just fed up and you're just kind of like, I would rather be doing this alone than being single in a marriage. I would love to say, like, he'll probably feign that he's like, oh, it's blindsided, I didn't know, but it really feels like, he deep down he'll know. The reason I asked is because a while back, a reader told me we would separate and he would try to come back and I would be over it. And when he does, well, just because he's trying to come back does not mean he's a wake up call and he's actually changed. So I'll say that. I'm not going to say like, oh, he'll, I feel like you're fed up with it before you actually even do that. And then, like when and if that happens, if like I'll do anything, you're like, dude, like that should have happened a long time ago. Okay, Sherry, I'll check in just a second. So it just feels more like 2026 is probably when. Anything positive. So we did talk about this the other day where I said it's not that he doesn't want your marriage. He doesn't want to have to do the work. What a marriage and a relationship really needs, which is communication, which is like doing the work and taking accountability for your stuff. And I do feel like it's you who ends up walking. So it's like he wants the marriage as long as he doesn't have to do any work for it. That's okay. So he just doesn't want to have to do the work. He doesn't want to have to do the accountability. He doesn't want to look at himself and say like, oh, I should be doing this Wednesday. He doesn't want to have to put somebody else's needs, wants, and desires ahead of his. Because like, look, babe, you married this. Can't change me. And he's not the only man that's like that. And I'm not a man hater, but I am a behavior hater. And that's behavior I hate. I don't have time for that. So it's like the timing feels like it's not right now, but like if this freight train keeps moving this direction, which I just don't see him changing. Is it possible? Sure. But I also feel like you're going to be doing like leaps and bounds of growth and changing and working on self-concept and really reflecting on how you created your own reality. And I'm not saying that as in like you wanted this, but like, again, I don't know if you heard me when I was talking about like I realized like when I was doing manifesting work, it was like, oh, I want someone like I was so down on myself for being sensitive because I'd been told so often in life that, oh, you're too sensitive, or that my emotions were too much for people, that I wanted somebody who wasn't so emotional. Well, you end up manifesting somebody who's emotionally unavailable when you do that, instead of like embracing who you are and be like, there's nothing wrong with this aspect of me. One more thing, you said he wasn't really in the home. Can you? No, I don't feel like he's cheating. I feel like he's just like, oh, I know what I said. I said something along the lines of like, he's this outgoing, gregarious guy, like outside of the home, and he's not really that way in the house. So like, he's worried about what everybody else thinks and their opinions of him, and he wants to kind of show off and he wants to look like a great guy. But when he's in the house, like you could ask him a million times. And be like, hey, can you do this? And it's like, he doesn't really care about how he's perceived by you. Now, some people might say, well, like, oh, because he knows you won't judge him and you love him. But like, no, really, like he's like super worried about the outside. Right. As long as he doesn't have the attachment. So he's like, oh, he's such a great guy. He donates because there is no skin in the game when you just have to like put some money in on it. There's no emotional connection there. So no, I don't necessarily feel like he's cheating. I just feel like he's not showing up at home the way he does outside. And it sucks to go through this, and it sucks to have all of these feelings. And I feel like by the time you get on the other side of it, you'll be like okay with it. And you're very welcome. And thank you for trusting me and coming to the side of coming YouTube. I always think that like with everything, there's always learning in every opportunity, and like you'll figure out like um, that your growth comes from these kind of spots, and your healing comes from these kind of spots. It just sucks going through it. Okay, Joel, I have your payment. You're up, and then I think Blue Moon. Are you? Blue. Oh, that's Sherry. Okay, so I have Joelle and Sherry. So Blue Moon and Sheenum, these are paid readings there, and pinned above is the PayPal for it. It's $12 a reading, a question, and 30% of that I donate to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey because food scarcity is real. So if you would like to donate to get a reading, that'd be great. If not, you just want to hang out, maybe you'll get some information, like a cross type reading where somebody else's information is pertinent to whatever you're going through. Okay, so Joelle, you're up, and then Sherry. Hey, Sheenam, I get that it's yes or no, but this is how I work over here. So if you don't, where's the button? Up above, it's a pinned comment you can click on, and it'll bring you to the PayPal. So if you don't want to pay, that's okay, but I also don't have to answer your question. So it's an energy exchange, and again, it's my channel. So you could go find another reader. There's plenty of other readers that'll do it for you for free. You can follow me on TikTok. Sometimes I hop on there and do things for free over there too. And okay. I understand. So follow me on TikTok and maybe you can catch one of my free ones. But there's a million people who aren't working or aren't, this is a minimal fee. I charge a lot more for my other readings. So I try to provide opportunities for people to reach me at, different rates and different everywhere else. And I have bills too. So like, I'm learning to set my own boundaries and not be a bleeding heart for everybody because it's easy to do that. So thank you for understanding. Okay, general for work, please, for you, Joelle, and then Sherry, you're after Joelle. Okay. Joelle, I'm going to say it this way. I don't feel like you're working, and I don't know why. Because I feel like, so this is really interesting. I can see like a parka and a coat. And I know you said it snowed there, but I just feel like this is more symbolic than like literally where you're at, but of like being like in an Arctic tundra, um, like I feel like I'm isolated and all alone. Are you working right now? Hi, Valerie. Sure, you can donate for a reading. You have lots of snow there. You are working right now? Or yes, you're not working? I'm confused. So, Valerie, there's a pinned comment where you can just click on it and go pay PayPal. And I don't have like Cash App and all that other stuff because I like to be a lazy bookkeeper and just have one place to keep all my payments to pay taxes and stuff. Not this moment, but today you did work. Are you working at the pizza shop with your dad? And have you opened up a cafe, or are you looking at opening up at like a coffee shop or like a little it doesn't feel like necessarily like a full breakfast, but has like a very minimal menu of like some hot meals, but for like breakfast and maybe lunch? Do you own the cafe yet, or is this something you're planning? Because I feel like that's like very soon. You've had a cafe for a year now. Okay. So has it been maybe this what is it like? Does the cafe feel like it's like really, really slow? Because I feel like by February to March it takes off more. You're renting. Renting the building, not the business, right? I know that sounds weird, but I know things can be different in different countries. So um I don't feel like you'll be owning a building. I just have to say that. Um Maybe in 5 years, owning the property, and it feels like it's like a little house, like a little yellow house. You're renting the cafe, you can't buy it. So it feels like within 5 years having your own, that's like a little house. And I also feel like over the next like 10 to 15 years, you'll be investing in properties. So either investing in other businesses or something like that, though, where that's not your only source of income. Is something more you want to know about it, or have you looked at opening a business in the Mediterranean? Or do you talk about that with your brother? You have a brother, right? I think you have a brother. So that feels like it'll happen, but it feels a little bit down the ways. 8 years is what it feels like with your dad. Okay. It feels like that will actually happen, but it's like a little bit further out. Like it's not just a pipe dream. So it's like, it's kind of like that's where he retires, even though he's still working. It just feels like he'll I don't know if he has arthritis or something like that, but it's like he'll health wise he'll be better in warmer climate. Okay, can I leave you with that? All right, so then I've got you're very welcome. Sherry, and then I think, hang on, I don't know whose initials are KT. Is that Blue Moon? Hang on, let me just make a list because I just like to do that. So I'm on Sherry. Blue Moon. Okay, so I'm going to put then Blue Moon. And then whose initials are VA? Where am I looking? Here's where I'm looking. I don't know who's VA, whose initial. I don't know if you want your full name on there. So that's why I don't know. I don't see your screen popping up here with, oh, there you are, Valerie. You've got it on here. Okay, so I'll just put you on here. Okay. So Sherry, sorry, here we go. Do you see me meeting someone new in love for stable, long-term committed relationship this year? About them and when we'll meet. I'm actually leaning like a little bit further out for you, like 2025 to 2026 feels important, like that cusp of those 2 years. It's not that I don't think that you'll date. First of all, I don't think you're putting yourself out there. I don't feel like I'm like really out there to date yet. So I feel like I'm dipping my toes in the water starting in August. And it's like there's a lot of apprehension. There's a lot of like, oh, I went on a date and he's not that great. So like you'll have like some dates, they'll be nice, and then kind of like holding off. I feel like you'll meet somebody nice in like February of 2025, but it's not, for whatever reason, it's like it's not a full match. It feels like it fizzles within a couple of months. So it's like there's an excitement there, but it's like also a hopeful feeling. So then I feel like then in like 2025 of like, I heard October, but then I heard August. I feel like that's when somebody comes in. And I actually don't feel like you meet them on a dating app or whatever. I feel like you meet them through somebody, either like a work friend or like it's somebody a friend of yours works with. There's some kind of friendship work connection there. And this is weird. I don't know if he really likes like, so I see like a cowboy hat and kind of like boots, but I don't feel like he's an actual cowboy. It's like maybe they're like, so I grew up like a chunk of my life in Houston, and like the rodeo's big there in March. And I think it's March. I don't know that I've ever been. I can't remember. But like people get all dressed up in like boots and hats and stuff, even though they like don't normally wear that stuff. It's like a whole thing. So maybe like that's what he does. But I also feel around fishing around him too. Like he's a dude's dude, but he's also very sweet. I feel like he might be a widow. There's like a laid back feeling about him and also like having a good sense of humor. So that's what I get. And maybe that doesn't sound attractive. I don't know. But that's what I can't. So I had a, okay. I did a psychic development circle. Wow, this is like maybe a year or two ago. I don't see his age, but I don't feel like you're that far apart in age. And so I did this, and he might be a tiny bit younger than you. And this woman was like, I was like, I don't know. She asked about like meeting someone. And when she would see him, I was like, I keep seeing boots. I don't know. They just keep showing boots. And then I said that he had stomach issues because I kept feeling like stomach issues. Well, apparently he had like, so she emailed me. And of course, then I was like, hey, can you write a review? And she like ignored that. I was like, can you please write a review? Please. Because that's like helps my business. And anyway, so she said she goes, we joke that he always wears this one pair of boots. And not only that, she said he had some kind of surgery on his stomach at a point. So that's what I can give you. That's what I'm saying. So it might not be literally like he's a cowboy, but I keep seeing that. So maybe it's something he likes to do is go to the rodeo. I don't know. Okay. All right. Blue Moon, do you want to ask your question? Oh, here it. Will my chronic back pain ever ease up or go away? It's affecting my entire life, especially in trying to hear my spirit guides. Okay, gotcha. So, are you getting over a respiratory thing, or do you have a history of like asthma or something? Blue Moon, that's for you. Just because I want to know that I'm connecting with your energy. Are you here? Are you here? No. Do you have a history? I mean, there's just something where I just felt like I took a deep breath and it felt like constricted. So I will say this, if I feel that and you haven't just recently had something, I wouldn't be surprised if within the week you start kind of feeling under the weather. So immediately as I was reading your thing, I do feel like there is an inflammatory process going on, i.e. something connected to diet. Like if you look up, you rarely get sick. Okay, well, like sometimes we go through these weird phases where we get something. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It doesn't mean it's COVID or anything like that. It just feels like getting like a cough type thing. I saw a D&D do for you. Yeah. So listen. So I noticed it. So I'm mentioning it because it's worth mentioning if they notice it. I also feel like tight here in your neck. So I would look into foods that can be inflammatory. And I feel like that helps to decrease a lot of the pain that you're having. So it's like, I feel tight here, but really my pain, I feel like is more on my right, or so this is my left side, my left, like hip area, like, but in my back, right? So not on the side. I don't know if that resonates. I do feel like your hips are slightly, like one hip is slightly higher than the other. And so I know this sounds weird. Do you have this? Like, I keep going back to the food thing, like having an inflammatory process where like that will heal, but it's like you have to do something that seems totally unrelated to it in order for your body to like relax and heal itself. So it's like, uh, look up. Do you know what? Have you ever heard of like histamine intolerance? It's where I'm learning about I get everything. I feel like I get everything to be able to teach other people things. So there is like looking at so histamine intolerance. If you have this issue, can also be related to insulin resistance and PCOS. But it feels like I like decreasing wheat in your diet and decreasing tomatoes in your diet and things that create histamine reactions. All of this inflammatory stuff. That other stuff is like heal. And the part about not being able to hear your guides is more out of your own anxiety, like that underlying fear of like, what if they tell me it's never going to heal? So take a month and eat a low histamine diet. It's not fun. I got to be honest. There's a lot of stuff like, and the other part about a low histamine diet is like, you don't want to eat leftovers. I will only eat, like I will eat the next day food, but I don't like eat stuff if it's been in my fridge for 2 days anymore. Not because I think it's bad. Like I think it's most likely safe or whatever, but also like I don't slow cook food anymore. I won't braise anything. If I want something that's like a little bit more tender, I throw it in my pressure cooker. So I'll get that same kind of effect, but like same thing with soups and cooking them in my pressure cooker because the vegetables get cooked quicker because the longer something cooks, the more histamine it has in it. I eat a really low histamine diet. So there's no tomatoes, no vinegar, no pickles, nothing that's aged or dried. They say like no deli meats, no tomatoes, no spinach, no, like they say no dairy. I'm okay with some dairy, not others. So it just feels like if you do that, then you'll start feeling better, like eating really clean. And then it starts to kind of relax a little bit. No eggplant. So that's what I'm getting. Drinking lots of water, no coffee. Caffeine, not so good for you. No green tea, no black tea. So I've been drinking stinging nettle, and I can make a combination of stinging nettle, raspberry leaf, and mint tea. That's what I'm getting. But I would look into it. There's a lot of stuff, and you might actually look at like eggs are not so great. I cut coffee out because I was worried that I had like cortisol issues because I just started like when I got COVID back last September. No, the September before in like 2022. I just like started gaining weight like crazy. And I was like, what the F is going on? So I started doing like working on, I thought it was cortisol, and I thought it was like insulin resistance, which part of it is insulin resistance. But then I kind of like stumbled upon this stuff, and it's like, oh, these are all sort of interrelated. And my body got into overload, and I was like having terrible stomach issues for a month straight. And I was like, okay, well, it could be a virus. And then like throughout to the universe, I'm so grateful that this is healed. And like stuff started coming on my feed about histamine intolerance. And I like kind of look at my history even since childhood, and it's definitely, I have a histamine intolerance issue. So I don't know. It feels like it's worth looking at. Yeah. So you can have coffee. I just like make sure you got food in your gut early. Just start look up histamine intolerance and start looking then at your own patterns and see if any of that correlates. That's where I'm being led to for you. Okay. Hang in there. They can't make any money off us if we do these kind of things to heal ourselves. And not to say that I don't believe in Western medicine, but like I also think there's some pathways that could be more beneficial in some cases and that aren't looked at because it's not making anybody any money. You're very welcome. Thank you for trusting me. Valerie, you have a question. Where is it? It's in my phone here. Are you here, Valerie? And then I think we'll call it a night. Yeah? Okay. Suspecting my son's father, Ronald, is planning to go to court to take full custody of the son we share equally already. First of all, I do feel like he'll go. I don't feel like it goes in his way. It's literally like it's in his mind, like, oh, it'll be cheaper and easier. It's also like a little bit of an FU to you to try and like, it's like a little emotional manipulative thing. And I feel like the judge sees straight through him. So it feels like it gets tossed out. It's an, no go kind of thing. Because I don't think it's what your son wants, A, and B, because you aren't doing anything that would make a judge feel that your son should be in full custody with your ex. Like there's no unsafe living conditions or anything like that. So I understand it's upsetting. I just feel like it's more of a manipulative, showboaty, whatever. I also feel like he might have a new girlfriend, truth be told. Lots of grandstanding on his part. I don't know if any of that resonates. Can you validate any of that? Again, it's super dry down here, so I keep reapplying. Yes. Yes, it resonates. Okay. So I hope that brings you a little bit of a like, okay, I can be calm about this. And then to just walk in with like zero emotional reaction to that kind of garbage and be like, here's the facts, Your Honor. Wants to use my health. His mom pushes him. Well, I gotta be honest, I don't think he really wants full custody. I feel like he would, even if he got it, he like would not be the one really taking care of your son. And it's not gonna happen. So don't, I know it's easy to say don't worry about it, but I don't feel it like at all in the cards. Oh, you're fine though. You're still taking care of him. And your son doesn't want to go anywhere. So can you tell us how long you've had this psychic gift? Does it run in your family? I felt a connection to my Aunt Nellie since I was a wee child. Oh, okay. So I've had it as long as I can remember, but I didn't realize like that I could tap into it. It was just like stuff that happened. And it wasn't like, some people were like, oh, I was talking to this person. It was like I would hear like specifically, there was one time where I heard a guide, like there's 3 times I can think of specifically, I'll tell you. And it's always a male guide. Say like one time it was I was on a walk with my grandmother and my mother before my parents got divorced. And they got divorced when I was 6, so I was little. I was like 4 or 5, and I heard like, oh, they'll be divorced soon. So I was like, okay, like, but it was never like, and I didn't think anything of it. Like there's somebody outside of my head talk. It was just like, okay. And then like another time I was like in 4th or 5th grade, and I was just having a lot of self-esteem issues and also feeling quite judged and felt like not treated well by people in the neighborhood. My mom was divorced, and we lived in like these townhomes that were, um, they were okay. They weren't terrible or anything, but like my other friends were pretty affluent. And it was like, I heard, you don't have to be how they expect you to be. And then another time was when I walked into a church and there was all these women praying, and I heard they were missing the point of God entirely. So it was like I would hear these things, or I would see things, or I'd have dreams that would come true, but it was never anything like, like it's like weird, like some of these people put their kids on TikTok and they're like, tell us, oh guru, which I block those ones immediately as I see them, because I think it's so disturbing that they do that to their children. So then like when I came to New York as a travel nurse, I started just kind of investigating what I believed spiritually that wasn't in the Christian Bible belty, because it was like, I can't tell you how many people I heard, friends, family, etc., like, I'm going to pray for my soul. Or, kind of like laugh it off like it was kind of a joke. And then some people would take it seriously, but if they got mad at me, like if they wanted a reading, but the minute I set boundaries, they were like, oh, and try and like use it as a way to dig to me, because they knew that I was like nervous about being called crazy, etc. People in my family have had different gifts, but here's the thing. I don't think that it's a genetic thing, and people can argue with me all you want. I think that what it is that if you have somebody in your family that already does this, then there's not a stigma about it. So it's a safe place to like open up and explore connecting with it. It's just developing a language. It's just a different language. But if your whole family is like, that's evil, it's of Satan, you don't really develop it the same. It doesn't mean you don't have it, but you don't develop it the same or feel safe doing it. So I had like a grandmother that would have visions, and then another grandmother. My dad said so a great grandmother that had some visions, and a grandmother who would like know when somebody was going to die or someone was going to come to the house. But and then apparently on my mom's side of the family, her grandmother would heal people's warts. I don't know about that. She goes, yeah, people would come and like she would like wave their hands over them and like their warts would be gone. I don't know. But I have plenty of people in my family who are like, you got a great game going there to earn some money. Like they think that it's like a joke. I don't give a crap. I did for a long time. I just don't anymore. It's just too exhausting to try and like hope that somebody will support you. So I've had it forever, but I did develop it. And I believe that everybody has the ability to have it. Some people are going to be more naturally gifted than others, just like some people have an affinity to learn a language and some people are naturally more athletic. Your Aunt Nellie had a seances, etc. Grandma, mom's mom talked to her mom, her dad. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, I think I try to open up in these spaces, not because, and I do like to do, I really need to do some more intuitive development circles because I like people to see that it's like, it's very natural. It's very normal. You don't have to have a million crystals. I like holding this, but that's now become more of a, like a, I don't need it. It's just like a physical habit of holding it. So I hold it. I play with it. I mean, I don't know. There's nobody in my family that reads the way I do. There's nobody in my family that connects the way I do. It's again, it's just like, oh, well, I had dreams that have come true. I have one sister who's not mentally well, who's like, you don't know how psychic I am. She's like, whatever. She's like out there, but nobody does readings. Nobody does. And I've been called, had it thrown in my face in a really nasty way by several family members. So whatever. They're not happy people anyway. They're nobody I associate with anymore. So like, that's why I laugh when people like, I'm like, I find it funny when people say things and they're angry because it's like, what, like, it's always from such a weird place. So, and I found like really, like you learn that the people that support you are incredible. Rothka's one of them. And who show up are incredible. And the people who, and I only mention her because I know her in personal life. She's actually the reason I started doing readings. And then the people that don't, like, whatever. So there was plenty of ways that I used to get things where I'd be like, oh, it only comes that way because it's safe. Like, I don't get it that way. And then like you just, as you get more comfortable, they'll start kind of giving you a little bit more and more to like kind of develop you. And some of that unsafeness comes from a belief system that Christianity and patriarchy throw out there, and Hollywood. That Hollywood. I just say because the way they portray these gifts in movies is often like scary and freaky because it creates like something you want to watch. Like if, I don't know, if you know how mundane it really can be. Allie, and then you have two sisters that are depressed. That, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Both my sisters, I have two sisters as well. They're not, they're not, I don't talk to them anymore. And it's, it's not like one of them is very mentally unwell and it's not a safe space for me with children and also my own sanity. And the other one is just, has a really hard time taking accountability. Apologies look like this. I'm sorry, I'm me. It's just, I just don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm 45. I don't got time for that. I don't know who Jean Dixon is. I don't mean to make you feel, I've not heard that name, so maybe I'll look up. So anyway, but thank you for asking. I always like sharing, and I'm glad that it makes me also feel like not like a magic 8 ball. when I would do these for free, I did these for free here initially, and I didn't have a lot of boundaries. And I ended up just feeling like this thing where like, you didn't answer my question. And I was like, oh yeah, we could do free questions real quick though, because it's already been on for 2 hours. Does that work? You guys want to do some free questions? We can do some free questions. Jean Dixon. Oh, I have no idea. I didn't know this. Oh, I'm going to have to learn. Thank you for mentioning her. From Medford, Wisconsin. That's interesting. I had a friend whose boyfriend was she from Medford? I don't know. So Fernanda, my free questions are not free personal questions. They're free, like what's going on in the world or pop culture type questions. So things that are like not really just specific to you. I'll have to look at it. Oh, Magic 8 Ball. That's what that is. I'm like, what is that? Sorry. But I did feel like a Magic 8 Ball, like at a point, because I was just like, and even like there's been friends that I've had who like kind of would only contact me to like have me read for them. And I just sort of like, it's not like I won't answer it, but I also don't make a huge effort in the relationship anymore, because it's like, or I'll take my time getting back to them kind of thing. And it's not to be like petty. It's just like, I saw it. So Ocean Gate 5 greeted with the Titanic passengers. No. And before, it's just like all I can hear is the creaking and panic. And it was just instant. And then it's like any other experience when somebody crosses over. It's just like moving into this light of love. It doesn't feel like, yeah. I mean, I have such a hard time having empathy for that group. And it's not that I'm like, hey, good thing they died. It's just like the arrogance and stupidity. Safe and legal abortions rights back in the near future. There's changes in 2026 and 2028. So I don't think it's like a fell swoop. I feel like it's we'll do this here and that here. And same thing with LGBTQ equality, but there's something more significant like 2035. So it's still a little while off before like, and that feels more with like transgender affirming care or gender affirming care. That's probably the way I need to say it. That's a little more acceptable. It's a little further off, more so because like for something like that, for full integration of that, because I think some other things have to change a little bit. And that, again, it's not that nothing happens before then, but the gender affirming type stuff gets more settled out a little further down the way. Regine said, Taraji P. Henson, what do you see for her? I don't know that she's sad so much as she's pissed and tired. I actually feel like what happens is there is going to be a group of women, mostly women of color, and then like one or two white women who sort of develop their own production company, kind of lead their own way in creating film and TV, like series types things that are um, where they're truly uplifting those voices and fair pay and equity and all of that stuff. But it feels like that's where she ends up is running that kind of thing. That might be 3 to 5 years out. I think there's inklings of talks now. And as much as she's going through, it feels like she has to get to this deep, dark to find this like FU attitude towards the system. Do I think we'll be able to root out the deep corruption in the US political system? It takes a while. 2036 will look vastly different than now. I've never gotten a year that far ahead. So it's like, like we're at this like part where it's like really hard to see that it could get better, but it does get better. It's just, again, it's about, first of all, we still have silent generation people that are able to vote. My in-laws are silent generation. So it's like we still have people who need to be done voting, and the younger ones kind of come up. DeSantis just stepped out of the elections. It looks like Trump has the lead. Is there some other candidate that will say otherwise? That's like we have to sit and watch and wait. I'm telling you, Trump is not going to be elected again. I still think he has more indictments coming. A silent generation is the generation above boomer, before boomers. So like my mom is a boomer, and she was like 1950. So I think before 1950, maybe 1948 and earlier. And they're still alive. And some of them are progressive-ish. It's not like, I mean, I'd say my in-laws are much more liberal, but a lot of them aren't. And it's not to say but there's a lot of the boomer attitude, not all of them. My mom was, she would say I was a fiscal Republican. And I said, it's funny because they're fiscally responsible with their money, not yours. She's like appalled at what's kind of going on. And she, I was like, well, there's a lot of backdoor stuff. I said, even since high school, I remember saying something, we were talking about like the corruption in Mexico. I was like, the United States is way more corrupt. We're just better at hiding it. And we just aren't great at hiding it anymore because social media, because there's so many different news outlets, because there's so many ways to connect with information. I also feel like, I got to tell you this, is I feel like there's going to become term limits and age limits starting to be proposed and really put into place like 2028 into the 2030s. So wait, how much should we be worried about the war in Sweden? You asked this before. I know that they said that, so I don't want to ask it. I don't want to answer it a million times, only because what happens is I start reading your anxiety rather than the energy of what it is. And I said, I don't feel like it's going there. I feel like it's just going to be like you'll just be really prepared for it. So what happens and this happened around like the election time with Trump, where people kept asking the same questions. I was like, I'm not answering this anymore because all that happens then is I stop reading all. You don't have to say sorry. I'm not apologizing. I mean, I don't want you to apologize. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm just explaining why I don't. Because what happens is, and I've had friends like, we're like, what about this relationship? And I'm like, I'm only reading now your anxiety. Like because it starts making me doubt what I'm getting. So I sort of have to just like go with what I get and like staunch hit on it. So it's like, I don't feel like there's going to be a war in Sweden. I hear a lot of fear-mongery stuff out there often. And I often think, well, like, look, if we create our own reality, sometimes I think that there are, and it sounds so weird, but like propaganda people that are put out to try and create fear, to try because I fully believe the government understands that we create our own reality. There's documents for it from the CIA. Hi, McKeegan. So I feel like, there's some things out there to try and shift energy certain ways. I have to tell you that. And it's not, I sound like a nut. I sound like a Pizzagate person, but I'm not. I think I try to like walk a fine line of like reality versus like cuckoo choo, but I mean, propaganda is real. And trying to get people to do what you want so you can be in power is very much real. Perfect. So any more quick questions? And then I'm going to bounce out because it's time for me to get my kids to bed and eat dinner and stuff. Us millennials are still finding our place and stuck between being teenage and adult. I get that, Allie. I didn't feel like, I have to be honest with you, I didn't feel like an adult until I was like maybe 28, 29. I didn't, where's your question, Sherry? Let me look. Thank you for saying something. Okay, Jeffrey, I'll look. Sherry, I don't see your question. Sometimes I don't see everybody's stuff. I don't know why. Oh, you know why? Because it flipped over to top chat. Give me just a second. Let me just do live chat and see. Let's try this. Oh, do I see Justin Trudeau winning the next election? I don't. I don't know if he runs. I don't know if he steps back or not. I don't see him winning now. I don't even know if I see him running. It's funny. I see him writing a book and like doing that. So, Devry, where's your question? Hang on, let me find it. Was Eazy-E murdered, or was it, in fact, it was AIDS. It was 1,000% AIDS. Thank you, Rothka. And my newsletter isn't very newsy, but it's just an email with links and reminders. I have faith that Gen Z and X are going to take good care of our planet. My apologies to my generation shit on us. I was going to be peace, love, and rock and roll. I think that like I was listening to some older women, and she's probably a boomer, like complaining about her granddaughter having so much stuff. So she buys her, activities to do. And then my mom and my kids have a ton of stuff. And I said, well, I kind of blame the boomers, and not to be like terrible, but like the boomers are the ones who put into place like the whole like, what do you call it? Like consumerism. It's a way of buying money, and it'll all balance itself out. I know that sounds weird, but I sort of feel like they already have a lot of things in place in order to heal the environmental stuff we have. And my feeling is like they're sort of not, because fear is a great controller. So as long as people are afraid, you can control them. Which sounds really messed up, because how could they control the environment? But I don't know. I just feel like there's things that technologies that they have that will heal things. And it's not all boomers, but it's also like when you go, I think it's cool that she recognizes it. Like there's a lot of stuff that boomers did that was like really messed up. Like they had free college or virtually free college. And it was that generation, and it's not saying it's her, but there was a lot of people who didn't really care about the people coming after them. Yeah. I mean, anyway. All right. If that is it, I'm going to say goodnight because we have bedtime routines and dinner and stuff. So I hope y'all have a wonderful week. I will see you next weekend. Give me a follow on TikTok because I'm on there and I'm trying to be a little bit more active over there. And I will see y'all later. Good night. Welcome, Blue Moon. Thank you for joining. And everybody else who's new, I really appreciate it. I hope you stay here. And I hope you all have a wonderful week.